That's the next video we're going to talk about. The title of this video is called Legally Armed Firearms Trainer Shoots Man Who Corners Him. The video will be shared in the description section of this video once again. I'm just going to go by this video. This is the person right here who's causing problems in the convenience store. You know, he's giving the clerk a hard time. There's another guy back here who's he's a firearms instructor, so his gun is not concealed, it's open. You know, you could see it visually. It's on his hip. So the guy walks out the store. The person with the firearms instructor also walks out as well at the same time. Here's the person that's causing problems. Here's the firearms instructor walking to his car. This person tries to cut him off and he wants to fight him at that moment. The firearms trainer decides to go back in the store. At this point, the firearms trainer drew his firearm and he's trying to push this person away. The person keeps coming towards him and refuses to back off. So here you have a guy with a gun. He's trying to push the guy away. The guy just keeps going forward onto him. He's pretty much asking to be shot. They keep going, and then he's getting cornered. And finally, he ends up shooting him in the center. But even after shooting him, the guy still keeps going forward to fight him. And then eventually he's just getting so, you know, winded that he falls down. So he gets shot one time. Alright, so that's the video I wanted to analyze. Another example, you know, security footage once again showing the types of things that could happen out there, you know, in real life. Here you got this guy that has a gun, open carry. Everybody could see it. The clerk could see it. This bully person could see it. But yet, he's still challenging a person with a gun. And that just doesn't make sense. You know, everything happened just fine. You know, this is a justified shooting. You know, it's caught on camera, everything. And he tried his hardest not to shoot him. But the guy just kept coming at him. And that's a justified self-defense, you know, example. But things that could be learned, you know, this guy was bigger than him, you know, so it is a big guy and you don't want to take chances out there. But what I would just say is when that bully walked out the convenience store to begin with, maybe the firearms instructor could have waited a little longer until he finally drove away. Then it might not have escalated further, but he started to walk out right after the bully, and then the bully just decided to continue on with the confrontation. That could have been corrected. Other things is, you know, this person mentioned in the video as well, maybe just keep the gun holstered and then defend yourself with both your hands and your empty hand techniques, and only draw the firearm when you really feel that it's necessary. Potentially, if he was more skillful in his unarmed combative skills, he might have been able to just fend the person off without having to shoot the person. So it could have been just a basic 1-2, like jab cross really hard, or just maybe kicking the person's knee really hard, or kicking them in the groin area. Essentially just basically stopping the threat without any weapons, you know. And this person just kept walking forward. He wasn't even protecting his center, wasn't protecting his face, wasn't protecting his knees or his groin area or his stomach. He wasn't protecting himself at all. He didn't even throw a punch. He just kept walking towards the guy. So if this person was more comfortable and confident in his unarmed combative techniques, he potentially could have handled the situation without having to result in using his firearm. And in doing so, he would have to have his gun holstered while he performs the combative techniques to subdue this individual. But he decided not to do that. He decided to draw his firearm right away and use the firearm to protect himself. He has every right in doing so. And a lot of times, the people that do have guns out there, they'll just go right to the gun and they're not even going to bother with the unarmed combative techniques. They'll just use the gun, draw the gun, and just be like, you know, maybe give you a warning and say back up or I'll shoot. And if you keep coming forward, then they'll actually shoot you. So a lot of police officers operate the same way. They're not even going to bother with the empty hand techniques or other ways of de-escalating the situation. They might just choose a firearm right away. And you really need to be comfortable and confident with your unarmed combative skills in order to handle a person without having to result in using a firearm. And it's just a lot of people out there that do have guns when are not even going to bother with all that. They're just going to go right to the gun. And like I said, he has every right in doing so. So he handled the situation um, the best way that he thought was right, and you know, is a justified shooting. But I would say just a person that practices martial arts would have other options available and be able to handle the situation without necessarily having to take another person's life or severely injured person, um, you know, with life-threatening injuries. But this is something to think about, something to analyze for a situation that you might encounter, you know, out there in the streets, and you know, you decide how you want to handle it. But honestly, for me, I wouldn't want to take a person's life so easily, even if I am justified in doing so. I don't want to have to go through um, having to prove that it was justified, and just, you know, basically having to deal with, you know, the agonies of taking somebody's life away. You know, I don't want to have to worry about, you know, being put in jail for the rest of my life because you know, the judge or the jury decided that it was an unjustified shooting. Luckily, it was on video and it supported, you know, it supported, his defense, you know. But not everything's gonna be caught on video, and it's gonna be based on eyewitnesses, and you know, it doesn't always turn out towards your benefit. So it's always good to have abilities and confidence in what you could do without firearms, without weapons, and to try to handle a situation without having to use a weapon. But this is a situation, this is an example of using a weapon to defend yourself in a justified way. And you know, there's a lot of things that can be learned from this video. So, you know, it's worth analyzing.